I don't think it's near as...
There's a lot less to showing the geese. So, good morning, everybody. So I am here at the Williamston Township Hall. I have a feeling that there were a couple more people that were going to be here in person, but I think that the storms that we had the other night kind of foobarred that idea for people. So we're gonna do a pretty impromptu chat here about the Sebastopols and showing them. Whoever is watching, please make sure to say hi so I can say hi back to you. And please let me know if you can hear me okay as well, because the Township Hall has their big, huge generator running. And I hope that you can hear me fine. We don't have any birds out yet, but we're going to just kind of do a little bit of an impromptu chat. I have a couple of friends here with me, and I would like to start out with a couple of questions about things. They already asked if they were going to be showing this year, and they said that they don't feel that they know enough about it to be able to do it. So I was just explaining to them as far as it's a lot easier than showing dogs. It's a lot easier than showing horses. There's less stuff to take, actually. There's actually less work to it as far as the show. The biggest thing that there is to the showing is the conditioning of the birds. And starting with the conditioning of the birds is getting the good genetics. You start from the beginning. You can buy a beautiful bird. You can buy a pair of beautiful birds. And say you breed those birds to give you offspring to show. This is one of the biggest things that I always tell everybody to keep in mind. Hi, Tommy. Can you hear me okay? One of the biggest things to keep in mind is that you can buy the best of the birds. You know, a pair of birds. But you don't know what those genetics are behind those birds. And you may get less than desired quality birds from that pair. Excuse me. You can buy the worst of the worst birds and get this miraculous bird that you're like, whoa, where'd you come from? How did you come from that? You know, and it all has to play in part with the genetics. The one thing that I do have to say to make clear to everybody is people ask me on genetics a lot of the genetics. That I get questions all the time, and I think I even told you that my brain does not hold on to that stuff. Good morning, Aaron. My brain doesn't hold on to it. I can read it, I can grasp it at that moment that I'm reading it, but my brain doesn't hold on to it, so I skip out a lot on that. It's almost like a revolving door in there. I am such a hands-on visual person that if I could put the genetics into like a cookie recipe, then I would be able to understand it a little bit better. I love you too, Aaron. Good morning, Megan. I hope you guys are still safe from the fires up there. But starting as goslings, say you start out with a 2-3 goslings that you want to be able to show. Good morning, Tiffany. Hope you're safe from the fires as well. But say you have these goslings that you want to show. It starts right from the beginning. Good morning, Mark. And the biggest thing that you can do for them is start right then and there at the very beginning with conditioning them. That includes, you know, that's the good feed, the good grasses, the water for bathing, things like that. That's where it all starts, is right there at the beginning. Conditioning can be hard to do because of a smoke show. No, it's just really cloudy. Aaron says it looks like a smoke show over there. No, but it could be. People could be burning a lot of wood because we're up here by Williamston where they had the biggest swath of tornado activity. But I lost track. I need to stop doing that. I'm saying good morning to everybody right now. Caffeine hasn't kicked in all the way. Conditioning can be really hard to do. It can be challenging. I think you've got a year advanced on that because you just got your birds last year, right? I have 2 of my friends here with me, guys, so I'm talking to them as well. Conditioning can vary from weather patterns. With us being here in Michigan, I feel that we have a really good weather source, weather conditions. We typically don't get too hot. Good morning, Mark. I already said good morning to you though, didn't I? Good morning, Grant. But we don't get, typically we do not get like blazing hot, say like Arizona, California, Florida, stuff like that. We get the humidity, which humidity can play a part on the conditioning. I don't know if you've noticed over the last couple days when we've been reaching over 100 on heat indexes. Luckily, it's only been, 2-3 days that we've done that. So luckily, we've been really blessed this year. But they didn't go into the water as much. They weren't as active out grazing as much, etc. like that. So those states that are hotter and more humid, they're going to have a little bit of a harder time conditioning. Same as over kind of the opposite of the East Coast. All that moisture, all that rain, the wet, everything else like that can take a toll on it. So your conditioning can kind of vary from region to region. And it can also, you may have to also play around from year to year as to what you're doing a little bit. Some of it can be a trial by error. So that's the biggest thing is conditioning. And then spring shows are nice. I like to do spring shows as well because they're a lot cooler. For one, there's not a whole lot that I go to. I don't go like real far away for any spring shows or anything like that. But they're typically a lot cooler. But the birds, they, plain and simple, they look like trash in the spring. Right after breeding season, they're coming back from their feathering. As I call it, their weed whacker phase. They look like they got hit by a weed whacker. You got more feathers on the ground than you do on the birds. So same with some of the fall shows. Fall shows are really nice, but the early ones kind of can be touchy because, again, you're coming out of a molt and you're waiting for them to come into their feathering. I brought 2 birds with me today. I brought my 2-year-old, is he 2? He will be 3 this December. Yes, I had a Christmas baby. Well, a couple Christmas babies. I don't know what I was thinking. But good morning, Judith. But I brought him. He looks like trash. But there's one advantage to the birds looking like trash and not having all those feathers. Is you can see their type underneath them. I had actually gotten one bird one year. She had the ever-loving snot beat out of her. She looked like a duck because her feathering was so light. The tops of her wings were naked. Her back was naked. She was getting beat to tar. And I'm like, oh my goodness. But I got her home and I got her out in the yard that day. And I gave her the day and then I went out there and I kind of looked at her and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute here. You know, I'm like, wow, if she feathers in for what her genetics say she should feather in, she will be a beautiful bird. So there's that advantage, because you can see their type, their body structure a little bit better. Just like those that have shown dogs, you know, the wet dog look, drowned rat look. Sometimes you can pick up on things that you wouldn't typically see, you know, when they're wet compared to when they're dry. Whether it be some variation in the coloring, say they're supposed to have a specific color pattern. You know, maybe their chest looks a little bit wider, but it's actually a narrow because of their, you know, their hair and stuff. Because I used to show Cocker Spaniels too, so I get it, you know. I mean, we evaluated the Cockers a lot when they were wet as far as their chest width and stuff like that. So, those are some of the, like, starting biggest factors to take into consideration when you want to start showing. Everybody's goal should be to improve. You know, to improve your lines, to improve your flaps, to build yourself up. Me, myself, I have now specifically myself only been doing this since 2016. I took over from Mom way back when. Majority of the people know that story, so I'm not going to go into that. But since that time, my birds aren't quite 100% there yet. But I take pride every year that I see better and better and better and better, because I'm putting the work into it, and I can pat myself on the back. And there's a lot of times that I can even pick out my own birds when I see them in other places, because I know the type. I know just that little tiny marker. Like, I was able to pick out that girl that you had gotten from me, but I wasn't sure which pair she had came from, and she ended up being Sylvester's last baby. So I may have to get baby back. So anyways, take pride in the work that you're doing. They don't have to be perfect. There is no perfect bird out there. There is no perfect dog out there, horse, cow, anything like that. There's close to, but there is no absolutely 100% perfection in this. And that's one of the things that the judges look at when they're judging the birds. They go through the line up, you know, just like, again, there's a lot of people that have shown other animals, so you know how judges pick things when they're looking at quality and type. They go through the line out. They pick out their, you know, they pick out the ones that they're absolutely not going to look at again. Then they pick out those couple that they'll look at again, and then they'll kind of start narrowing it down from there. And they'll look. There are some judges that literally nitpick it apart, which is good. Pick me apart.
How did they give you feedback?
I'm sorry?
How did the judges give us feedback?
So she asked how the judges give you feedback. So one thing when you're at a show is you got your typical shows. There's the aisles, and you got, you know, several feet in between the aisles. But at shows, one of the biggest things that you want to do is looking for feedback from judges. Well, let me say this first, is when the judges are judging, it is courtesy to them, because the aisleways can be narrow at sometimes, to stay out of the aisle while they're judging. Okay? Now, one thing that some people do, and I watch this an awful lot because there are some judges that do talk while they are going through the lineups, is you can stand on the other side and kind of listen in, eavesdrops, whatever you want to call it. But after judging is said, done, and over with, It's nothing to go up to the judge and say, hi, my name is so-and-so. I was wondering, could you give me feedback on this bird? Or why did you pick this bird over this bird? You know, what are the differences that you see? The judges don't mind that. It's just, they typically ask for afterwards. A lot of the shows, a lot of people say, like, Saturday night after all the judging's done and stuff like that, everybody will, or majority of the people will gather up and go get dinner. It's typically Mexican and margaritas. You know, so that's a time to talk to the judge as well. But you can pick the judge's brain, just not why they're actually judging. And
unlike the dog shows, the judge, you're not required to be with your bird during the time.
oh no, there's plenty of people that will bring their bird in, coop their bird in, and half time if I'm gone a ways, then I'll go out to the truck and take a nap. I hardly ever like go back to the hotel or wherever I'm staying and take a nap or anything like that. And good morning, Amber.
Do they tell you what time you're judging your bird?
No.
So it's just randomly throughout
It
the
is. Sometimes waterfowl is done first. Sometimes landfowl is done first. Sometimes the judges will pick through. You will go with, you know, because you got your different classes. You've got your light, medium, heavy in the waterfowl, and sometimes I've seen the judges start with the smallest class. So, like, say there's only 5 medium geese there, they'll get those done and over with. It's pay attention to your phones, because a lot of times I'll let people know, hey, they're judging. Especially a new person, I will say, hey, they're judging. Let's go see what we can catch. You know, let's see what we can catch afterwards as far as hearing what the judges say. And some of them do because they have clerks with them that is like the secretary and taking notes.
Do you get to see the notes?
No. But I keep track of that stuff as well. And it's not really secretary like taking notes. It's just writing down the placements and stuff. Some of the clerks are judge apprentices or juniors that are wanting to further their education and stuff, so they may be taking some notes. And sometimes it's helpful to talk to the clerk as well, because if they're like a judge apprentice or something like that, then they're usually talking to the clerk and they're kind of hashing some things out sometimes. So that's when you get a lot of the feedback. Some of the judges, they just go through them and on their merry way, which is fine too. But you know, I've gotten to where I know a lot of the judges and stuff, and if somebody wants to talk to them, I'll be like, hey, let's go, and I'll drag them along. I did that to somebody last year, and they're like, no. I'm like, it's fine. Trust me, it's fine. So that's, I mean, it never hurts to talk to other people too. It never hurts to talk to other people, because there's so many other people that have so many different, you know, that have other opinions and that may know something else that you don't know. Sometimes I've even gone with like new persons, and I've had the standard there, and we've gone through the standard. Okay, now this is what it says for the head. This is what it says for the body, the feathering, etc. like that. You see this bird here that placed best variety. You see this bird that placed fifth. What's the differences that you see? With the Sebastopols, it is kind of hard because of the feathering. We would like to see more of the judges handle the birds. There are a few judges that do like handle when they're getting to like say the top 3, 4, you know, 2, 3, something like that. You know, between the best and the reserve. Good morning, Amy. Things like that, because they're checking the wings, because the wings are the biggest things with the Sebastopols. And there's so many Sebastopols out there that have the feathering that you can't even tell what the wings are doing. So there are some judges that do that. They check. They're checking and getting an idea for weight. too. There's been a big debate in the APA as to whether or not to start weighing these birds, all the birds. And it's, that would be really time consuming. But there's not a whole lot that actually handle them. And part of that is because most of the geese, they're typically on a crate or in a cage on the floor. That's not really ideal for, like a chicken. They're usually built up on sawhorses or cage stands or whatever. And they're usually at least hip height to where you can just reach in and grab them out. It's a lot easier to do it with the chickens and say like the bantam ducks and the light ducks, and because a lot of the ducks are put up on the cage stands as well. It's usually just the geese and the turkeys that are down on the floor. Something that I do is I leave my cage tops open, and then that way it makes it easier for me than crawling around on the ground to grab all my birds and stuff like that. It makes it easier for me doing their water and feed too. And I can just reach in and grab one out if I need to. And it also allows to where if the judge wants to, they can do that as well. It's just easier. They do have the right to be able to handle your birds. Basically, when you put them in, coop them in, it gives the judges and the judges only, or I do believe that it does state somewhere that some shows put it in their stuff that like show secretaries, show personnel can handle your bird, especially if there's like a possible sickness or something like that they pick up on. So Megan asked, is there a specific cage you use? Do you need to provide them at shows? No. The shows that they use at cages, sometimes they're kind of made up cages using cattle panels to make little pens.
But the show provides them?
The show provides them. Yep, you do not have to bring any cages to the shows. I think they're maybe about the size of a 3x3 cage dog puppy pen, and either 3x3 or 4x4, something like that. For the goose cages, sometimes they also use turkey cages, which are a lot taller, lot taller. You can't bend into them. You have to go in through the floor. They're probably about a good 4.5 foot tall. I'm not tall enough to do that. I don't have long arms like that. Now your husband might be able to, but
Like Inspector Gadget.
yeah. If you've got Inspector Gadget arms, you can probably reach into them. But no, you don't have to provide them. The only thing that you should provide when you're going to a show is I always recommend to bring extra bedding. Because 99.9% of the flooring is on cement. That cement gets wet, waterfowl, we're going to play in our water no matter what. And that I learned the hard way the first time that I went to Ohio National. And I did not have enough bedding in one of my cages. And I seen one of my girls actually like splay leg, do the splits, whatever. And I want to say it was about a week and a half before she actually got up and moved. So I kind of learned my lesson. I will take one of the bags of the big flakes from TSC, the white bag of flakes, and I typically will divide that into thirds and build it up from there.
Do you clean up after the end? Do we clean out the cages, or does the show do that?
Well, let me finish this thought as far as what to bring. You bring something, provide something for water and feed for your birds. Most of those shows do have a supplier that come on hand, and you can get coop cups for them, which the coop cups are really nice to use. I switched from those, or from using like little buckets, to to the coop cups because of obviously my numbers grew and I needed more room and packing stuff rather than, taking up room with buckets. Bring your own feed. A lot of shows will supply feed, but it's typically all the same feed for throughout the whole building, and your birds are used to eating your feed, so bring your own feed. And I'm sorry, what was it that you asked?
Do we clean up after?
So clean up after the show. One of the biggest things that you can do to help clean up after a show is remove your tags from your coops, but do not do it until after you have taken that bird out of the cage. Don't go through and take all your coop tags. Take your coop tag and your bird at the same time. I've got a stack of coop tags like this at home because I don't know why, but for some reason I keep holding on to them and hoarding them. Take your coop tags. If you don't have your cage top open your cage top. Make sure your doors are closed and latched on your coops. And something that I have recently started to do is, as I go back to pick up the other bird, I collapse that other cage down. And that just makes it a lot easier for cleanup. Because they'll just go through, and some shows have like a bobcat that go through and clean everything up. Some shows you've got people with many push brooms cleaning everything up. And if you can stay and help, even just tear down some cages, that is a huge thing as well. Anything that you can do afterwards. The cleanup always goes way quicker than the setup. If you're able to get to the show and, like, say the 2 Michigan shows that we have, if you're able to go down to that show and help set up, some shows they're able to set up like the week before. Some shows they have to wait until a couple days before. Setup is way longer than tearing down. I mean, we all know that. Thank you, Tommy. Have a good day. You're welcome. So anything that you can do, even just taking the clips off the cages and stuff, that's something that I've done, is I've just started kind of basically cleaning up my own mess, which I feel if more people started doing that, I mean, obviously with like the cage, when they use the cattle panels to make their own cages, usually they're zip tied together and stuff like that. That's going to be a little bit harder to do. But the cages, they just fold up onto themselves, and I just prop them up or lay them down in a pile, at least. So, yeah, if you can do anything to help out, half an hour can make a world of difference. Can make a world of difference with tearing down and cleaning up. So, on the website, we now have a presentation that I did that explains the different levels of the judging. It's almost like a pyramid type idea as far as how they get all the way up the chain. A lot of people seem to understand it better if they've had some type of showing experience, but there's that on the website.
What do you mean that's like how they pick like best of breed?
Yep,
best
pretty much.
Variety,
Yep.
And then it goes up to like best goose? Is that what
Pretty much, because how it goes is, the short version of how it goes is you've got, we'll stick with the waterfowl. Okay, you've got your light, medium, and heavy geese. So what the judges do is they go through and typically they'll pick like 1 through 5. Now, we're going to use the Sebastopols, alright? You've got a row of 15 Sebastopols, and it's made up by, say, like 3 cocks, 2 hens, 4 pullets, and 6 cockerels. I don't even know if that adds up to 15, but whatever. So, The judge will typically go through and pick a 1st through 5th of the cocks, a 1st through 5th of the hens, a 1st through 5th of the pullets, and 1st through 5th of the cocklets. Then they'll typically take and evaluate all those first place birds, and that's where they will come together and pick out your, right now it's easy with the white Sebastopol because it's the only variety that's accepted. So they will pick out the best variety and the reserve variety of the Sebastopol. 9 times out of 10, the best variety and the reserve variety is also best of breed, reserve of breed, because, well, there's only the one variety. Best of breed comes up when there's more than one variety. They'll do that with the light geese and the heavy geese as well. Once they are done judging that part, then going back to the medium class, you have the several different breeds. You've got the American Buff, you've got the Brain, Work With Me, Sebastopol, American Buff, Pilgrim, Steinbecker, I do believe, and I know I'm missing one. I know I'm at least missing one. But they'll go through and they will compare the best of breeds and the reserve of breeds, and they'll come up with a best of medium, or best medium and reserve medium. So that could be like best medium could be best of breed American Buff, and reserve medium could be say like a Steinbecker or a Pomeranian Saddleback. There we go. There's another one. It could be something like that.
How do colors fit into the show when they're not standard?
Well, let me get to that one next, okay? Let me finish this thought process. I need more caffeine. So after they get like the best medium, or best and reserve light, medium, and heavy goose, then they'll come back and compare all of them together and come up with a best and reserve goose, which means that your goose, say, you took best goose, then that would mean that you beat out all the other geese and your bird was the best that they've seen out of all of them. Same with the reserve. Now, going up the chain, after that is said and done and over with, then they go for best and reserve waterfowl, which that also entails the ducks. All the classes of ducks, the bantam ducks, the call ducks, the magpies, the bantam ducks, the light, medium, heavy ducks. Anything that swims will be judged over again as far as like best duck and best goose. They'll be compared, and that's where they come up with best waterfowl, reserve waterfowl, which means that if it swims and you got best waterfowl, then you beat out all the ducks, all the geese. Then from there, that bird has the chance to go against the landfowl, which includes all the chickens, the guineas, the turkeys, all that, to go for show champion. And I'm pretty sure I got all that straight in my head.
We got it.
It's a lot. It's a lot to process, but once you're actually there and doing it, it just falls right into place. It's one of those things that it just falls right into place. As for the colored Sebastopols and how those fall in, or the different varieties of birds, so we'll use the Pomeranian Saddleback as an example. There's gray and buff. What the judges look at there is, because those two are recognized, then they compare the two varieties, and that's how they come up with best of breed, reserve of breed. For the Sebastopols, the only thing that a colored goose can do, the best that they can do, is a best recognized variety, or AOV, which is any other variety. Hopefully next year we'll be able to submit for the grays. On that note, we need our 5 people that have been APA members for 5 years that have bred grays to sign affidavits. The process for getting the variety submitted is you apply to the APA. You give them a proposed standard. They can edit it. Sometimes it's kind of like negotiations. You go back and forth. Then if they approve it, then with the application, you have to have 5 breeders, 5 people that have been APA members for 5 years that have also been breeding for 5 years to sign an affidavit that this is what we are achieving. This is what we've seen over the last 5 years. The application, I can't remember the specifics on it. It's on the website. The whole thing's on the website under the Project Gray tab on the website. But I believe that you have to, 50% of your breeding flock, or, your grays, we'll stay with the grays, 50% of your grays have to meet this standard. Then it goes into qualifying meets. Which for that you have to have 5 people that are APA members and so many cocks, hens, pullets, and cockles. And those people don't have to be members of the APA for the 5 years. So it's been a work in progress, but I think that we are a lot closer than what I think, or that what we think we are. We've already got at least 4 people. Wait. I think we've got 4 people for the affidavit. We just need 1 more that has been an APA member for the 5 years and breeding them for 5 years. The grays. So I think we're there. And having the funds to do it, because it's also $300 to submit the application to the APA. So, but that's kind of how the showing aspect goes. It really is a good time. You meet so many people. I have so much family from other states and all around. It's crazy. You guys show dogs. You know what it's like. You cannot get some of those relationships back. And the camaraderie, oh my goodness, it can be so much fun. Now, a lot of times at the shows, I'm busy, taking club notes, taking show reports and stuff like that, because I do go through the shows that I'm at. I go through and I write down how many are there, who won, da-da-da-da-da. And where we place meets, we also send in paperwork to them to ask them to fill that out too. Last year, Sebastopols were the #1 breed of goose showing with 409, I think, showing. But that is only I do believe that's only the whites. And that is only the shows that reported back to the APA. There could be more more out there, but it's just what was reported. So, does anybody have any questions at the moment, or do we get a bird out? Bird is the word? Okay, give me just 1 moment. I'm going to turn this over to somebody else so that they can be my cameraman, and I'm going to continue watching on my tablet like I do when I'm doing the egg handling. So give me just 1 moment. I'm going to step away for a second, but don't go anywhere, guys.
use one of your birds first?
Yeah, I think I'll get Fluff out first. This is so weird watching myself. So weird. There's like nowhere to prop this up. Figure this out. Hold on, guys. I'm coming.
Haley, do you do 4-H?
Huh?
You do 4-H?
I want to.
You'd be good at it. Yes. I think I have a good idea. The Sebastos do really well in 4-H.
We have not seen one around us.
You
with all the
haven't?
bears.
Oh, I think it would be
In
so
4-H,
cool then.
did you have any color blue? Yes. Okay, that means I can bring you
Is that your favorite?
one of mine. She's super
Right.
tall.
Yeah, she'd probably be a good one then.
I'm not bigger.
Dory, who's that? What?
Oh, the goose?
They sent that to, yeah, the goose. I know who the person is.
I was like, you don't know who
That
the
up.
person is? Is that Jewel? Okay.
That's a good boy. That's a good boy.
Oh.
All right, Bubba. You okay? He said, no, I'm not okay, Mom. Say, no, I'm not okay. So this is Fluff, you guys. This is my 2-year-old gander. I chose him. I would have brought Sylvester, but Sylvester's been awful cranky lately. I think is his age. You know, the old man crankiness. Okay, so I'm still watching myself. And I got my caffeine fix going on too. So this is Fluff. And a couple things that we're gonna do is we've got 4 birds here total, and we're gonna kind of evaluate. Okay. Now I do think that what I want to do is, I think one of the best ways to learn things is for others to ask questions. And I've done it with you as far as, tell me what you see on this bird. What do you see? What do you think you would fix on this bird? And if you haven't gotten a standard, hold off for a few, because they just came out with the new edition that is, I think, going to be available at the Ohio National. So some of the wording might be different. The standard is meant to paint a picture for you in your head of what the bird is supposed to look like. Okay? So, are you gonna, can you stand up for me, Bub? Can you stand up for me? So, Fluff is not in the greatest condition right now, obviously. I mean, we have stringies, we have broken, we have messes. Okay, so one of the biggest things that I get asked is about grooming them and bathing them. Some people do bathe them. I have only bathed birds 3 times, and that's only been like 1 or 2, because it was like a downpour the day we were supposed to leave, and we were mud pies. we looked like Winnie the Pooh trying to get to the honey pot. And, you know, I always say to myself, get white birds. Let's show white waterfowl and keep them white. So, I know, I'm so weird, aren't I? I'm so weird, aren't I? Yes, you're such a good boy. So, for bathing, there's so many different ideas out there as far as bathing. But one of the best things that you can do, oh, good one. One of the best things you can do is just keep providing that clean water, that clean bedding. You know, if you got them, if you're lackluster on grass, keep them out of the dirt. Keep them dry as much as possible. You know, I mean, sometimes it is literally just do the best you can. I have one person that's kind of freaking. Yes, I'm going to use you as an example. I'm not going to say your name though. But she's kind of in a panic mode because those long feathers that are on the ground and dragging on the ground are staying. These birds, it happens. There are going to be those stained feathers that are on the ground. The one thing I can absolutely say is do not use whiteout on your bird. Do not, I've wondered if you can bleach them, but don't. That would just dry the feathers out and stuff. Don't cut the feather. There was a show that somebody went to and they're like, look at this. And you could see that somebody had actually like gave a haircut. Don't do that. It's so very unnatural. But just, you know, a lot of the purple shampoos work great. If you use Mother's Bluing, literally only a couple drops, or you're gonna have a purple bird. We are not putting purple birds into the standard, no. Don't look at me in that tone of voice. He's like side-eyeing me from the top, or from the bottom. But the biggest is just the clean bedding, the clean bathing water, trying to keep them on the grass as much as possible and out of the mud. Sorry, brain went to sleep again. So, one of the only things that I really do is I'll take my hands and run them through like this, and like right here, he's got a little knot. Just separate it. He's got this broken feather right here. Just bye-bye. Just bye-bye. It helps. It, you know, right now, this time of year, he doesn't look the greatest. Would I still go to a show? Absolutely. I'm really, really bummed that I'm not going to be able to make it to my New York show that I've been going to. See, you just take those out. Because even though, you know, now he's got like a missing feather, it's still better than having the knotted up feather. These long ones that are, you know, one-sided, I guess you could say. This one is, I don't know what this one's doing. But, I mean, that's pretty much about it. Don't use a comb, don't use a brush. You can see, will you stand up for me? Hello? Hello? Really, Fluff? Really? Can you stand up for me? Okay, so, his feet are pretty dirty. So, I would just take some extra soap and water. Sometimes baby wipes will work. And just clean up his feet some. Do the very best you can. A soft bristle toothbrush, a nail brush, you know, anything like that. The nails, you don't have to worry about trimming them or anything like that. Double check their feet, make sure that there's no sores on their feet, which, can you guys see that okay? That little spot there. So, they get those. They get those. It's in their breed. And if you look at their webbing, they've even got like little swirlies in their webbing and stuff. But they get those. I call it a callus. Sometimes they've gotten really big. My old man Sylvester, they're pretty big on him, but I don't know if I would want to have them removed. I've thought about maybe like banding them like you would for, you know, like a castration band, but I don't know if I'd be able to get it tight enough. And with him, I don't want to cause him any more due harm than what his arthritis is already doing to him. He's a big boy, so he's got arthritis pretty bad. Are you okay? Are you okay? The only other thing that I will do to these guys when I am at a show is I'll take a little bit of Vaseline and put it on their bills, because that helps to brighten that up a little bit. And sometimes they do get stuffed, because if they're not used to being in a crate or a cage or something like that, they're running back and forth, back and forth, and back and forth. I don't know how many times I've had somebody come up to me and say, it's bleeding. It's bleeding, because I think he's actually got a scar on his. Because a lot of times they'll rub basically right here, just rub it raw and start bleeding. Have wet wipes with you. Those are a really good resource to have. A couple other things is, you know, the Vaseline. There's not really a whole lot. I take a hair dryer or whatever. Yes, it's shiny. A hair dryer, or if you have, say, like one of those grooming dryers, something like that, just in case. Because I have walked into the show hall as well, and if it's on a dirt floor, yeah, I'm like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? You look like a buff. So I'm like scrambling the first time that happened, and I'm like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? So I take a little bit of extra. You're shedding. I take a little extra soap with me, you know, just like in a Dawn dish soap bottle or something like that. That's all you need with you. Dilute it down. You can wash it out easy. I started using Orvis. It's more like a paste. I used to use it on my cows, on my dairy and my goats. And the white on my dairy with a little bit of Orvis, a little bit of Dawn dish soap, and a little bit of bluing was just, in the sunshine, it was just, I mean, you had to have sunglasses on. So what? You're a good boy. But that's basically all I do to prep them, is just to clean them, try to keep them as clean as I can. I'll run my fingers through them. I'll usually do that first thing in the morning on Saturday. I'll put a little bit of Vaseline on them. Sometimes I'll put a little bit on their, you know, like on their shanks. But other than that, it is what it is. You know, they make all this stuff that all this grooming clothes and, you know, silk rags and stuff like that. But I've never tried like a silk, you know, like a silk towel on these guys or anything like that. So I don't know what it would do to their feathers. A friend and I were talking about making them a bustle for, or as in the dog community, some of you might know what a snoot is, to go over the ears and keep the ears out of food and stuff like that. Making them something like that to try to keep these off the ground a couple days before show. Any questions on that part there? Anything? I mean, it's pretty straightforward and easy. They're not as hard as what people think they are to keep up with. They're really not. You say, are you flirting? Are you flirting? Huh? Yeah, you're a good boy. He's my good boy. He's my good boy. He was raised in a garage for like 4 months because he was hatched in December. So he didn't even know how to be a goose when he came out of the garage. Did you? I literally had to sit in the pool with him for a few minutes because he didn't know what to do. Alright, so I guess one of the next things is to kind of work through the standard to understand what you're looking for in the birds. One of the biggest things is the shape of the body. which their feathering can optical illusions. They can give you like a false sense of what they look like. I have heard from the judges, I've heard cotton ball with legs, I've heard heart-shaped, with, like heart-shaped, looking down on them like a heart. I've heard round, a round body. I've heard oval. And if you look at the standard with the body type, it says oval shaped body. Let me double check where to go. Yep, the body, it should be oval. Now, I actually had a judge sit down with me and kind of explain that to me. And if you look at him from the side, right here, he looks oval. If you look at him, hey, relax, you're fine. I'm sorry. Are you okay? What'd you do? Oh, okay. If you look at him from the front, he looks oval. You're okay. Yeah, is that better? Is that better? Yes. Stand up for me though. If you Hey. If you look at him, he just pretty much stood up to where you can see him from the back. He looks oval. Same with if you look at him from his arse, he looks oval. Yeah. There you go, good boy. That would have been an awesome picture. I might have to freeze that and do that. See, he broke a feather already. So that's what you want to look for, is that oval in the body. The roundness, I'll show you with Callista. She's, according to the standard, she's a little bit more round than what they would like to see. But, with that being said, I don't take her out of showing because of her other structures. And I don't take her, I still show her just because she's got the other good qualities. She produces, bred with the right gander, she produces that oval body. She is my starter hen for my grays. And right now I'm getting my, I am getting basically like carbon copies of that. And I'm seeing the oval rather than the round. I've had people ask me, does one sex over the other sex kind of determine shape? Does it determine the feathering? I haven't come across it personally. When you're putting your breeding pairs together, what was it that I told you when you're looking at your breeding pairs or trios? You don't remember? Okay. When you're picking out your birds for your breeders, you pick them apart. So you look at their head. Well, I know that the standard, I do believe now is going to say instead of a round head, because when you think of a round head, I think of a call duck head, which literally looks like a plum. Where their head, it would be more of a rounded. There is a difference when you say round and rounded. So with his head here, we're going to start at the head. On each individual bird, start at the head. He's got a pretty decent head. I would like to see just a little bit more definition right here, right in there, to where it comes back. But he is a good breeder. He's a good breeder, and he produces some really nice offspring. I think you've even got a baby from him, don't you? And you see from his head, if you look at your baby, you can see that little bit of a difference if you really sit and study it. I don't know if you brought...
I brought a bad one and then just one of my boys. I don't remember which one.
Okay.
Probably maybe like
Why don't you grab the bad one real quick? Why don't you grab the bad one? And I say bad one because this one is, are we talking about the really goofy headed one? Okay, so this one is, I went over to her house and actually looked at her birds with her. And I'll do this if you're local. I'll go and, you know, kind of evaluate your flock with her. Do I say that like I'm like the person? No, I'm not the person. I have a lot of people come to me. That was loud. I'm so sorry, you guys. That was loud. Melissa! Hush! Mouth! But anyways, there's just some different things that you can pick up when you see different birds. So, we're gonna kind of put these heads side by side. We'll try this. Okay. Do you mind? No? Okay. Alright, so if you look at this boy's head, let me see. If you compare, stay. If you compare the heads and really look at that, you see this right here, it's not as, you be nice too, as defined as right here, where this kind of goes up like this.
Oh.
This one is what we would call a ski slope. A ski slope head. And you can see it literally slams right off. That is less than ideal. And her and I have already talked about this. And you can even see a difference in the eyes compared to the shape of the head. Their eyes should be rounded. And you see how his eyes, they're kind of squinty, like, you know, he reminds me of like a mean mugger.
Is this like this?
Yeah, like
hers is like.
Yeah, like that. But his eyes are a little bit rounder. Those are the things to pick apart on your birds.
So you want the one that's more round?
Yep.
Less squinty.
Yep, less. Be good. That is not. Well, that is not your baby.
He's a good one too because you start going down the neck with studying.
Yep. We can try to set these guys next to each other. But I think he'll be okay. He'll just be really talkative. Oh goodness. I know you're not used to being here, are you? Oh, no, you're not. But he's also young too. He's also really young. He was just this year hatched, right? You can see in the chest the difference in the feathering. Like I think he's got potential. And we're gonna play dead. It's fine. But I think that he might have the potential because you want that feathering in the chest. The higher, the better. There are a lot of them that look like, see how he's kind of blank right there in the center? I'm seeing a lot of them that look like they're wearing a vest, where their chest doesn't come down as full in the center. And it may take a couple years too. So, and what were you saying?
I said, so you want the one that's more fluffy?
The higher the better, the more the better, especially in that chest. Because unfortunately the feathering is looked at quite a bit.
Uh-oh. This bad poop by your leg, by the way.
So you can kind of, but this bird here, it's like he's got it on the sides, just not in the front. So he could have potential. Now myself, and we've already talked about this as well, that this would not be a bird to keep. This would be a pet quality bird because of the head. And one of the things that I noticed about this boy's head, when I was out to her house and just looking at her flock, walking through the yard, was his eyes. And it looks like he's filled out a little bit more, but you know how an alligator, you see an alligator and they got the eyes on the top of their head? If you look at him, it's almost like he's got little right there on his head. And you didn't notice it until I pointed it out. And that, again, is where you have to nitpick these birds apart. So, the neck as well, you want a, how do I explain the neck? So there's a couple different views of the necks. His neck, you know, I mean, you can tell that he's a gander by looking at him. I like my ganders, the masculine looking type ganders. I don't like them really, I don't like the ganders feminine looking. He's borderline, but he's also 2. He's also only 2, so he may fill out a little bit more. But the necks, you don't want what we call a snake neck, where it's really long and skinny, and they're just, it looks like a swan, you know, a swan neck. You want a little bit of meat to that on both the hens and the cocks. And you know, sometimes your babies, I'm sorry, I like totally broke a fingernail, there we go. Sometimes with your babies, you do have to watch them for a year or so to actually figure it out. But things like that, those are the obvious things that when you're looking at your birds, the only thing I can keep saying is just start nitpicking it apart. Then you look at the bird in a whole package. Okay, so the bills, you want them to be, the standard says orange. There's been pink and there's been pink beak, but you want the orange. There are different shadings on that, and I do see some of the birds where it looks like they're orange, but they're pale. And what I found with that is that when he came to us, because I told the kid that hatched him out, he did it for a science fair project. Oh, you're fine. Did it for a science fair project. I told him, fine, anything hatches, you got to keep them warm till I can bring them back home. You're fine. And so when they came to me, because they were in the garage, they couldn't come out or anything like that. I want to say it was like April that they came to me, mid-April. They were really, 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 really pale. Really pale. And I got them out in the sun and stuff and got them outside, and within 2 weeks, they brightened right up. They also say that beat can affect them. So, but I do see it a lot with the genetics. And why is my pants wet? Did you get me too?
Oh no.
I think you got me a little bit. So some of it can be the genetics of it too. And that is a less than desired as well as the pink. Does anybody that's watching have any questions so far? We've kind of talked about the head. We've talked about the neck. Watch those necks. There's been a lot of long, skinny necks that look like they belong on a swan or like a Canadian, or just they don't belong on a Sebastopol.
Is there anything specific other than the stores that you look at?
Like on the feet?
Yeah.
They look at the color. They look at the color of the feet. Sometimes the feet aren't very well visualized because of the feathering. So, is that an advantage? Could be. Is it a disadvantage? It could be as well, because if you're not able to tell, this isn't yours. No. If you're not watching your colors on your bills and your feet, then you could potentially be breeding things that are less than desired. As far as the judges, if they, some of them, they do pick them up and they check all that. I have seen where they check the bottom of the feet too, because health is one of the things. Health and the feet and stuff are considered in condition and stuff. So, but that's all I've ever really seen. I mean, they look for, there's different things that can come out, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Not defects. I'm sorry?
Anomalies.
Yeah, like, extra toes, or, missing toes, or, say, this here missing or whatever. But sometimes they get little scabs and stuff like that too. So, I'm sorry?
What colors do they make the most?
Well, as you know, I mean, as far as the judges, what colors do they like the most? When they're looking down a row of birds to judge them, they're not supposed to have a like the most color. They're supposed to evaluate them all per what the standard says. I'm sorry? Yep, they're looking more at the birds and the structures. Because there is a point system that, with little defects and stuff like that, can knock down points. So, and that is all in the standard. And that's why we recommend so much to get the standard and read through it, because all that is listed out in there. The same with when you become an APA member. Mark, I just noticed your question. Megan, same to you in just 1 second. The same with when you join the APA, you also get a yearbook, which has all kinds of different articles in it. And some of those articles are literally just things to help you out as well. There's articles, there's the bylaws, there's show rules, there's a listing of all the judges. Some of the articles come from judges. There's advertisements in it. It's referred to, I've heard the standard called the Bible, but it can also be interpreted as the same. Each person can interpret things differently. The yearbook is a really good asset to have too, because, you're talking how many pages of just information. And that's why it's so helpful. Like with the NSGA, that's why we're building our education corner, I guess is what you want to call it. We're building that up. I've done a lot of the website work, and I'm just learning some new things about it. So it's constantly changing, constantly different things coming up and stuff. So, Megan asked, what about white around the top of the bill? Is this normally present with certain ages and fades, or if it's there, it's there? This isn't a desired trait. Megan, are you talking about like white up in here on a white goose, or are you talking on like a gray? I'll give you a second to reply back. But Mark, do the judges look at the height of the goose? So this is a medium goose. You do not want a Sebastopol that looks like an Emden or a Toulouse as far as the height. I have seen some birds that are a lot bigger than others. And as far as the actual height, I'm not, let me double check here, let me read this. Let me see if this says anything about height. And I'm not quoting this specifically, guys, because the standard is copyrighted. I don't want to get into any infringement. Hey! Calista, you're next. The standard doesn't say anything as far as like the height of the bird, but you have to think about the medium class. The disqualification is, one of the disqualifications is entire lack of crow feathers on breast, and then it refers you to see general disqualification and cutting for defects. That's further back in the standard. It doesn't say anything about a height, it just says about a weight, which a old gander should be about 14 pounds, a young gander should be about 12 pounds, an old goose should be about 12 pounds, and a young goose should be about 10 pounds. So, But there's nothing in here about the height, which is kind of interesting. The only thing there was recently was there was a huge debate as far as adding an angle, because some of these birds have an angle to them in other breeds. You know, where even like say the chickens, their back is such a degree of an angle to their tail, or their tail is such a degree to that. And they wanted to put an angle on the Sebastopol, but our issue with that was that in the standard it says that the let me see here, let me look at it. That the paunch is discernible lobes, no clearly discernible lobes because of the feathering obscuring the view. Now, if you can't tell a difference of how many lobes the bird has, how are you going to be able to tell what angle they're at if you can't differentiate even the lobes because of the feathering? And half of these guys, the feathering is on the ground when they're in that condition, and you can't tell where the ground starts and the bird stops. So, oh, she is a mouth. She has a mouth on her. She can go off in a show hall, and I know exactly who it is. She has a mouth like no other.
So does one of our make he's loud.
I think it's actually a genetic thing. I think it's a genetic thing with her. Okay, so Megan, let's go back. Yes, Mark, definitely get a standard. Like I said, it's copyrighted, so we can't verbatim, go verbatim on that. So Megan, back to your white question on the bill. Fluff, you're being such a good boy. I have a blue father that has this white on his bill that as an adult, and I wonder if it will like crop up in your future birds. It potentially could. Now, what I do see with, say, like your saddlebacks and your splashes, I do see that. I don't have my grays with me. I'd have to even look at a picture. But I do, where it looks like they have a little bit of white in the bill, around the bill. And that is something that we may, that I think is genetic. I would actually have to look back at my birds that I have on my property and kind of compare. I know with the gray, one of our big things that we're going to have to work on with the standard is whether or not they have a beam, the dark color on their bill. But actually, Megan, you did remind me of another valid point. Is, so you know how they say with men they have like a widow's peak, and what is that? That's where it kind of points down right here. So some of these birds, I've seen it to where they actually have like a little V of feathers right here. And that's something less to be desired as well, because it's just ever so slightly. And I'm not going to say I do, because I don't do anything like that, but I have seen people like, pluck feathers out that are less than desired on different breeds and different birds. I mean, you could probably do that. I don't know. We all go through a grooming process. So, actually, I think they just released the standard this year, Judy. Sorry. I think they just released it. They just started advertising that the standard was available, I do believe. And I did talk to somebody on the standard committee, and some of the wording might be a little different for the Sebastopol, but I think that it's going to be in a better place for it, because the Sebastopol description standard is, in my opinion, less than desirable, because it leaves a lot out. It does. It leaves a lot out. So kind of continuing through the standard, we've talked about the head, we've talked about the feathering, we've talked about the body shape. I need to go back on that height thing because it says legs and feet short, large, feathers curled, shanks short and stout. I mean, literally, our Sebastopol Standard starts here. Oh, you gonna help me? And ends here. Where this here starts Pilgrim and ends Pilgrim. We have comparatively like 3 paragraphs. And I think that the Sebastopols are more complicated than that to understand. But it's a work in progress. But and also in the same token, with there only being the white, you know, how hard is it? But in the same, on the other aspect of that, the devil's advocate, the more descriptive you get, the more there is to pick apart. So, it, you know, that's why I like talking with people about their birds and helping them evaluate their birds. It is, you will find your niche. You will know what you're looking for. You will know what you like and what you don't like. But maybe Judy, you can double check on that for me. Megan, I'm not 100% certain. Maybe somebody can look up real quick for me on the APA site if the standards is available yet. I think it's on pre-order sales right now, I think. The feathering, real quick, let's talk about the feathering. So one thing that this guy has is up here on his back, he has all these little itty bitty baby feathers. They're little wispy feathering, okay? And then you get into some of this wider feathering. The wider the feathers, the better as well. You don't want it to look like, as one of the articles on the website references to, where it looks like wet toilet paper. Which some of these do look like wet toilet paper, but I know what his potential is. I know what he looked like as a yearling. And it can take them a good 2 to 5 years to reach their full feathering potential. Again, feed, diet, housing, care, grass, all that can play a part in their feathering as well. So, okay, thank you, Judy. Yes, the standard is not being released until November of 23. So I do believe that they're waiting for all the 150th anniversary stuff to be released at the same time. Which, that if you can, go. It's going to be a big thing. I've heard the number of 10,000 birds expected. And I have also heard that they're capping entries. So if you want to go, go. On that note there's myself and at least, I don't know, 2-3 other people maybe? At least 2 other people, or 3 that I know of. One's not even a Sebastopol person, but we're looking at an Airbnb. Or excuse me, 4. I forgot about summer. We're looking at an Airbnb. And down there, that's one of your best options. So, you're welcome, Megan. Let's see here. What are you looking at? I feel like I'm rambling. I feel like I'm missing something. So let me get Callista out and we'll just kind of compare Callista. What's your other bird?
One of my newborn boys, he's the one with the really long.
Bring him real quick. Let me put him back. Bring him. Unless somebody wants to cuddle with Fluff and get pooped on. Go cuddle with Fluff. He is a good boy. He is a good boy. Oh, real quick, you guys. I want to show you how I handle my birds. There's a couple that I handle differently. So, a lot of times I'll carry them into the show hall like this, one by one. And it is 1 foot on my hip. I have their thigh kind of like this, because God knows they don't like their feet not touching something, right? And a lot of times, I carry them with their head tucked under me like this, because there sometimes can be a lot of commotion, and I feel that I have more control. I feel like I also can protect them if I'm walking by somebody and you've got a nipper or a biter or something like that. That way they can't reach out and bite them. Another trick is, I've done this before. I had to use my big, huge, thick ponytail holders and make a muzzle for one of my birds. See the bruise?
Oh no.
That girl might get a muzzle up my shoulder. She might just get a muzzle. That's what all these bruises on my arms are from. You're okay. You're okay. I know you're mama's boy. Oh my goodness. So let me see how you have grown. Let me see how you lost all your long feathers. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So I can see right off the bat with this bird. I can see right off the bat with this bird. Watch that wing. Watch it, especially with those broken. Watch it. I think it might be okay. But this bird here, and this is a little boy. Okay.
Born
So,
in April.
huh?
Born in April.
Born in April. Okay, so this is an April hatch. And I think that we talked about a little bit of this in your yard. So this boy, I told her to hold on to this boy because of the length of his feathering and stuff like that. And that was probably about 2 months ago that I was out there. And so this boy has aged quite a bit and filled out since I've been out there. So let's see what I see with you. Hey, oh, you okay? You okay? Oh, yep, you did get your bill.
I know
You
this.
got your bill a little bit. So this one's head. Well, hold on. You tell me what you see on this bird with his head.
Well, I think he needs, I don't know what you call it in geese, but I think he needs more stop.
More stop. In dogs, it's called a stop. Right there where they're between their eyes, especially on a lot of the sporting breeds and stuff. Or the dogs that have where it comes down and then their muzzle goes out. That's called a stop. So I'm not sure exactly what that's called either, but you're right. I mean, his head is definitely better than that one's. But he does just need a little bit more definition right here. He's got a mild ski slope, okay? The eyes look pretty okay. I'd like to see just a little bit more definition right there, but that could be from this. Kind of, it's like it's elongating it. Now this boy, what I can see, I don't know what the view looks like from this angle, but you can see right here, see how that chest feathering comes way up to here? This, where's your breastbone? Okay, so this is the breastbone. His feathering comes way up to here. If you see the difference on the two birds that she brought for examples, look at all that right there. Okay? This is the quality that you're looking at. Fluff, what are you doing?
I think my hand is fine.
But that is something that you want to try and keep in your lines. Keep it as much as possible. I mean, this is impressive for his age. The only thing that I can really say that I see otherwise beside his head is I see where he looks a little bit on the longer side. So when we're talking about oval, if you look at him, he starts and stops right here. From the side view, and I mean, it could be this, and it'd be helpful if you stand up Here, can you stand up? Can you stand up?
Does look better standing.
Huh?
Does look better standing.
Yeah.
It's still long though.
There we go. There we go. You're okay. But you see how he looks just a little bit longer? Just a little bit longer. But that's not something that I would really look at and say, no, because of that. You can take him to a little bit of a shorter girl, and hopefully next year you'll get what you really want. What I can see in this boy, otherwise, he's a color carrier.
Oh, is he?
Yep. And how I can tell that, unless, did you vet sex or DNA sex?
DNA.
DNA. Oh, that was another thing that I was supposed to do, is do some vet sexing. So if you look here on his chest, he's got a little gray pigmentation
Yeah.
on his chest. But the ganders are the only one that pass on the color. So you could take him to a full white and
I
keep like girls from that one, and then continue to breed it. And it would take a while, but that color carrying gene might wash out. Not to say that you might not see it pop up, but if you were to do that, then you should be able to see it kind of go away.
What do you think about the length of his neck?
Do not take a white to a gray or a gray to a white. All you will do is delete it. For the grays, we want the darker the better. Just like a Toulouse. Literally, for the grays, we are taking the Toulouse coloring. You know that dark Toulouse coloring. Do not dilute it out. You take gray to gray. Gray to gray. Gray to gray. In line breeding, I'm going to work on a thing for line breeding for on the website, so that's to come. I've got a graph that somebody used a long time ago. A lot of pigeon breeders use it, a lot of people use it. I've just got to be able to decipher it to where I can understand it. So, where was I at? Oh, the coloring and stuff.
What do you think about the length of his neck?
The length of his neck, so, again, he's young, and the length of his neck, I mean, that's his neck. So, hold your head up for me, buddy. I personally don't see anything wrong with his head. He just needs to grow up. You know,
Yeah.
Teenager.
yeah, I mean, he right now, he's a preteen. You know, once teenagers start getting all those hormones going and stuff, they totally change. And if you think about it, with the hormones on these geese, you get that 18 years of hormone changes that you do with kids in what, like a 6-month time frame? It can make it interesting. Give him until next year. See what he grows out to be. Give him till next year. He's got the width. I mean, he's got some broken feathers, but he's got the width. You can see that. He's got the length coming. You know, so, but no, you can see the color in his back right there as well.
Oh, yeah.
So, but I told her to watch this wing. Wings are a big thing with the Sebastopols, guys. There is a difference between angel wing and twisted wingtip. So, because his feathers are broken off, or pulled out, or whatever, he's a good bird to look at. So, if he'll cooperate, okay, so when you're looking at these wings, obviously this is the joint that comes up into the back. This would be like the elbow, or no, excuse me, kind of the wrong, yeah, this would be like the elbow, this would be the wrist, and these right here are actually called the phalanges, just like ours on fingers. But when you look at him on normal, these feathers are coming to the outside of the wing. As they grow out, they potentially could stay that way. So give them a little bit of length in that feathering. Don't wait too long. And maybe tape them up. Okay? Ow! That one smarted. Excuse me, I'm in your way. Preen away. I know, it's itchy, isn't it? It's itchy. I can tell that it's itchy because he's still got some baby fuzz on him. He's still got some baby fuzz. But when you're looking at your birds and you're asking about twisted tips, don't just look at them. You need to pick them up and feel them. And I'll show you on Callista. You'll be able to feel this very bottom joint. This is what you're going to be watching. Is this very bottom joint. And that's the joint that's either going to twist. Okay. That's either going to twist and flip out on you. I'm sorry. Or they're going to be able to tuck it in. Now, I bet he's still developing his muscles. You see him going up and down, up and down, and up and down, and down and up. He's just building those muscles up. Is twisted tip genetic? Potentially. This is my interpretation, my thought. Potentially genetic. Protein level? Potentially. I mean, you think about it. Everything on these guys curls. Everything. My thought is that if they're going to twist, they're going to twist whenever they want to twist. They can pop it at any given time. Does protein levels affect it? Potentially. My method, I haven't had any problems with twisted tips. I think I've done like 3 wrappings in the last couple years. And honestly and truthfully, if they have twisted tips or wing issues or whatever like that, more than likely I'm going to not keep them as a breeder. Do I have a couple on my property that have twisted tips? Of course, because they have other good qualities to them as well. Okay, we're just gonna play dead. So, but no, I think he's gonna be a looker. Just watch that wing and see what he looks like when he matures out.
Do you want me to bring out the other ones so we can look at one that's not as nice? My pet quality one? Do you want to do an evaluation on him?
Let me get Callista and do the wing thing. I don't know where we're at on time and stuff. I put till 1. Yeah, go ahead and take him. But I think he's gonna be a looker. I think he's gonna be a looker. It's just poop, right guys? It's just grass. That's all it is. I will keep him out for a minute. No, actually, when she comes back, okay, go ahead and take one. Oh, you're getting warm. No. You're getting warm. So when she comes back, I'm going to do this real quick. I am going to vent sex him. And I'm going to show you guys how I do my vent sexing. I do not flip my birds upside down. I feel that stresses them out. Yes, I love you too, buddy. I feel that it stresses them out even more. And when they're stressed out, everything tightens up. To vent sex, I'm going to vent sex them real quick, and then I'm going to get close out. You know, when everything tightens up, they're not going to show what you want them to show easily. I personally do not sex anything under about 6 to 8 weeks old because I have had a problem. I have had one die after vent sexing, and I'm not doing that again. Totally, completely done shy on that. So what I do is I either use like a bale of straw. It's too hard for me to get down on the ground anymore. I use either a bale of straw or a bale of shavings or something like that. And I pretty much sit on the bird, essentially. I tuck their head under my butt. You know, I'm like on my knees. I tuck their head under my butt. I tuck their head under my butt. And I just bend over and have fun finding the vent and trying to essentially work things out. It's really easy on the ganders the closer to breeding season it gets. It really is, because things tend to come out a little bit easier. So we may have to change the angle on the camera a little bit, but so I'm going to, hopefully he will cooperate with me, and since I'm right-handed, I want you to sit. Can you sit for me? Can you sit down for me? So if I do it on my lap, I kind of have him hanging over. Okay. It takes a minute. I might have to put him in my lap. Yep, let me put him in my lap. Okay. So that he feels all secure and safe. And I just start digging around. Because, you know, it's so easy under all that feathering to find it. And I do it in this position. Fluff. That's a little bit better. And then you just essentially start pushing things kind of to the side. You gotta be slow with it and gentle. Sometimes they cooperate, sometimes they don't. And I don't think he's going to. I'll try one more time. Are you gonna play dead on me? This is where being an octopus would be really, really handy. Nope, he's sucking everything in. He's not gonna let me do it, y'all. But I do have a video where I set some babies. I literally rolled out of bed and went down and did it. And I'll go ahead and get that posted to YouTube as far as how I did it. But that's the method that I use instead of flipping them up. There's also, you can DNA sex them, where if you DNA sex them, one of the best places if you do feather is get way deep down here on the chest and get as close to it as what you can, and you want to try and get the quill, and a little bit of meat doesn't really hurt either, but I think I missed. Oh, no, maybe right there. That might potentially work, but one of the easiest things to do is just clip their toenail back to where you get a blood spot, drip the blood spot, put a little bit of blood stop or quick stop or baking soda on it or whatever, and they'll be fine. Just make sure if you do that and you're doing summer birds, don't cross-contaminate. Make sure you're cleaning your nail clippers in between each bird. So I'm gonna go grab Callista real quick. I'm gonna give her some water real quick. quick. Did I lose anybody or is he still here? Oops. Nope, I just heard myself talking. Okay, so this is Callista. The reason that I brought Callista is because I could literally do anything with this bird. She could care less. I have flipped her upside down and she could care less. What did you do to your feather? Look at this, you guys. That's one of those weird feather things that they can do. No, Mama. I think she might be better off if I put her on my lap, but I need her to stand here for a minute. So Callista is a 2017 hatch, which puts her, what, like 6 years old or so? And as she ages, she just gets better and better and better. Granted, her wings are obviously twisted, which that happened at, I think, 3 years old after a molt. So, I'm going to start with her real quick. The obvious with her is her wings. That's the obvious. And also, too, she's got more of that roundness, if you can see that roundness in her. Look at me, I'm trying to stack her like I would a dog. I do her, yes. Yup. I mean, if I get to the point, which I'm not specific, I just have my first pair of buff. Hey, Mama. If I get to the point to where I have, besides her and her mate as buff, then it will be time to retire her. She's getting old too. You know, I mean, she's getting to be an old lady, but I still take her to shows. If nothing else, I might just still take her with me and like at the table when I set up tables and stuff like that, because literally, I mean, I can do anything with her. She'll sit on my lap for good. I mean, she's just such a doll. But with her, you can obviously see that she's just a little bit too round, but paired up with the right boy, and boy, does she give me some gorgeous birds. If you look at her head, what do you see in her head? The definition of what part? Like right here? Yup. She has one of the best heads that I have on my property right now. Well, I say that because I haven't actually sat in my yard and went through everybody yet. The way that I pick my birds as far as who I'm keeping and who I'm not keeping is I will take and kind of divide them off. Like, if I've got, you know, I'll take my best cock and put all my boys together and keep them and, you know, put them together. And then I'll use this one bird as my reference bird. The closest one to that one is the one that is more than likely going to stay with me for a very long time, or at least until I see the improvement from him. There are a couple few that no matter what, they will stay with me till the end of time. I do the same thing with my hens. We did this at your house, and it helped a lot, did it not? You picked your best bird and you compared, because not only are you picking the bird apart, but you're going to put the package together as a whole too. And it can be hard to do. It can be really hard to do. But with her head, you see that definition. So Megan, I do see like a little bit of a white kind of outline. Just barely, but I don't want to say that with her being buff, I don't want to say that it's white. I want to say it's that real light buff that she has. And she's on a little bit of on a lighter side. She darkens up during the wintertime. But I do see just the slightest little bit of that white lining. You're gonna fall off, young lady. You're gonna fall off.
Good girl.
Good girl. But with her, I've done quite well with her. Her son started placing better than her, so that tells me that I'm doing something right with the buff. She has this nice chest to her with all this to it. Maybe not as much curl, but it's the time of year too. She, you know, she doesn't have that flip up curl like your boy had, but she's got all the way up to here, the thickness and the fullness. Which is something that I am working with on my grays to improve and bring that up a little bit more too. Her wings, obviously, her wings twisted out, and oh, you're okay, Mama. Here, come on. Is that better? Is that better? Yeah, I know that's better. You can see. I'm gonna stretch her wing out. You can see where it's that very bottom joint. I don't know, can you guys see that from that view right there? It's that very, very bottom joint. Because right here is where it's actually twisted. Like I said, it's like your fingers, your fingertips. That's the part that's actually twisted. And that is part of the wonky wing things that these Sebastopols can do. You see the width on her feathering, how wide it is, like all over the place. She doesn't have a whole lot of that wet toilet paper, wispy looking stuff. So if nothing to the least, paired with the right gander, she is a phenomenal breeder. And I can say that because after 6 years of breeding her, I see what she produces. And that's where coming in and creating your own line. You know, you get birds. Oh, let's sit right here. Let's sit right here. Is that better? She's used to being on my lap when I'm doing stuff with her. Okay, that tickles. I know. Don't take my earring. I actually forgot the other day when I was dealing with one of the birds about my nose ring. It was a hoop. So needless to say, the hoop went bye-bye. But I lost my train of thought. With her, you know, she's got so many good qualities. You know, that she's good for starting your lines. You know, you can buy your birds from other people, which is where everybody gets their start. It's not like, you know, oh, here, goose appeared on my property, or whatever like that. But the one thing to keep in mind is, especially that first year, give your dealers, because they are so addicting. You know, give your dealers a little bit of acknowledgement. After that first year, that's when you can start calling it your line, because you did the work, you did the breedings, you picked which birds went together and stuff like that. You know, like for her, I can't remember the exact correct proper way to do it, but I think it's like East Winds of Ruru Callista or something like that, you know, just to give Ruru, which is Barb Rudolph, just to give her, you know, if we were to actually, which I am working on pedigrees, I did find a good program for pedigrees. And if anybody plays with pedigrees, you know, or has anything, start your pedigrees. Start your workings on it. Keep your records. I even go through and take pictures each year of who my birds are and who they're paired up with. Everybody pretty much has a number now, number and color band. So I just put that together. But for those that have worked pedigrees, you know how important they are. So many of these people are asking, well, what color is my bird? Well, what's the history on the bird? well, I was told that the parents are this and that. It's like, okay, but know anything before that? No? Well, then there could be some wild cards in there. And if we can start working on genetics and keeping track of our lines and keeping track of our breedings better, then I think that we'll have huge improvements in the geese. I lost my train of thought. I feel like I'm rambling now. So somebody ask a question. Somebody ask a question. Ow! You asked all your questions and you're out.
Yeah, I'm out of questions.
You can't come up with one more? Do you have any questions?
No, I like going over the different, evaluating the different birds, though. It's helpful.
And we can go over your other one.
I mean, I think it'd be nice for you to go over. I like seeing ones that are like less quality, because then it's easier for me to develop my eye when you're like, this is his faults, these are his faults, these are his faults. Versus
Yeah,
like,
it's easier to pick out the bad things about a bird or about anything than it is to pick out.
and he's very long, and I think he'd be interesting for us to look at.
Yeah, and you know, it's almost like you're the only one that sees that smudge on the wall.
Right. Well, and I think one of the challenges when you see them every day, it's harder to see them.
It is.
You know,
It is.
at least while I'm learning.
Yep. I mean, that's like so many, you know, people, you know, she's a gorgeous, absolute gorgeous bird and stuff like that. She is, don't get me wrong, but she does have her defects. And the way I agree that, you know, if you can learn what is a defect, look at me, I'm like doing a mom rock. If you can learn what is a defect, sometimes those are easier to learn, and then if you pick them up in your birds, and yes, it does help to have another eye on your birds. You know, if you can pick those up on your birds, then you'll be able to get a lot further ahead. Like, I'm sure after this, you know, being able to look at 4 different birds now, that you'll be able to pick out that ski slope a little bit better. And one of the first things you're going to do is go home and look at your heads. You're just gonna,
in my head.
you're just gonna sit in the yard.
Oh, I have a question.
Yeah.
If Haley was to go to like the show in Birch Run, is
Yes.
there like a youth division where she could show Sebastopol?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They have open entry, which is anybody can show and open. And then they have the junior division, which is for 18 and under. Okay. And if you really are interested in showing, you know, Sebastopol's in junior, or you know, getting involved with other type of juniors and stuff like that, there's also the YEPA, Youth Exhibition Poultry Association. A really, really good friend of mine, along with the ATA district director, is the president and runs the YEPA, and she's just down by Hillsdale now. So that's a really good thing. There's a Facebook group called 4-H. Oh goodness, 4-H exhibition question and answer section, I do believe is what it is. That does a lot of explanation of stuff and so many videos and different things. I don't think there's a whole lot on waterfowl on it, more on chickens, but there's still so many things that
We need more
apply to
kids to
it.
do waterfowl though.
We do.
Yeah. And
We
they
do.
do scholarships and stuff. Like APA will do scholarships, and so will 4-H if you get into the...
They do. They have scholarship available for showmanship, under
Got you,
showmanship
girl.
and stuff.
That was something I really liked doing when I was a kid.
Showmanship, yeah, because they're not judging the bird; they're judging you.
And if you find a local, they'll have local poultry 4-H clubs to teach you how to do it for the show.
There are a lot of 4-H clubs, but there's also a lot of fairs, like my local fair down in Jackson. They don't allow waterfowl or this breed of goose. They only allow certain, and you can only get from hatcheries. I'm sorry, the hell? Why would you want a kid to just do hatchery or meat bird or something like that?
I'm just so sad when I see my girls.
Yeah, I mean, But why would you limit them to that? So this is where my thought with the youth is, at this point, just like with 4-H, I know that, you know, people have been with the fairs and you see how the numbers of animals and stuff like that have gone way down. Way down. To where the youth is the future of all of this. 4-H, FFA, the APA, if we don't get them involved now, and we are working on a junior structure for us in the club and working on different things. Eventually, I would like to get to where once we get our nonprofit status and stuff like that, I would like to do a memorial scholarship in my mom's name, and possibly even now, maybe try to do like some type of, I don't know, I think it'd be cool to do like a traveling trophy or something like that, or like a traveling plaque or something like that, maybe a Barb's on it. You know, I mean, Barb's 17, 18 years worth of breeding.
So you have some questions.
Oh, I have questions. Okay, good. I can stop rambling for a minute.
The thing they were talking about start with an S is kind of what you said.
Yeah, it was the Facebook group.
Oh, I would actually have to look it up. Let me see if I can. I'm not.
So you want to get a body shape question?
Okay. So the furthest I go, because I had to come. I lost it. I had to come back on. Is Natalia asked, is it possible to fix her twisted wing? As far as on Callisto, no, they are now fused. Fixing twisted wings should really be done within the first couple of months. Like if you can't move that bottom joint, don't try to move it, because okay. I'm sorry. You don't like being there. I'm sorry. I got you. She's too old and it's too fused to fix it. Mark, I know it's not a desired quality according to the standard, but I love the round shape personally. Don't get me wrong, the round shape is a very beautiful shape, but I've also seen where they're getting too small round. And if you do plan on doing any showing and, you know, working towards the standard, breeding towards the standard, then you want to try and get away from that full round basketball type shaped body. Not to say that they're not going to place. It just depends on what the other birds look like that are there as well. I mean, I've had a couple of round birds place well, but the other birds, you know, the different qualities, the different points, the different deductions, etc. like that, all of that takes place. And all that takes place. Are you okay now? Megan, I have I'm trying to get this barn full of animals out, but we could talk a little bit more about body shape. A gander that seems boxy, like a long rectangle. Yeah, actually, we did kind of touch on that. I didn't necessarily call it boxy and rectangle, but her other bird that I brought out was kind of long. Let's see, I'll have her bring her other bird out real quick. And we'll see what he looks like. And Tiffany asked, would you completely phase out any birds with twisted wingtip or breed with a bird without and then keep offspring without twisted wingtips? So desirably, yes, you really do want to try and keep twisted wingtip off of your property and out of your breeding program. To say that to phase it all the way out for myself, I would really have to take that whole package of the bird and put it together. Because the wings, if somebody was to pass on the twisted wingtip, would I be able to possibly correct that enough for me to, you know, do it? And then I would just, I record that stuff. That, you know, this bird, I fixed his wings. So I know that I can pass it on for any offspring that, you know, twisted wingtip is in the background. That's where keeping good records and stuff come in handy as well. For myself, I do have a couple that are twisted, but do I get rid of them? No, because they've got the other good qualities. Other people, I do know that other people, if they're twisted, nope, go, bye-bye. See you. They're not even part of their breeding program anymore. And some people do the unfortunate thing of just calling them off, which I can't bring myself to do that, because if nothing else, that bird is a good bird for a junior to start with and to learn with, if nothing to the least. So that's kind of how I feel on it. Mark, I answered your questions for you. I'm not sure if you missed it or not. Go ahead and bring your other boy out, because Megan was asking about body type, body structure. Look at all the feathers around here. Jeez Louise, guys. Jeez Louise. See, this is what I'm talking about. I can do anything with this bird. She could care less. She's like, wee, I'm flying. That's a lot of feathers over there from 4 birds. Okay, you're welcome, Mark. You're welcome, Tiffany. So let's see this boy. This is a boy, right? Is this the one that, oh, this is the first one with the wonky head, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, you got color carrier. Did you have a boy from Sylvester too?
No.
No?
Oh, maybe, because I do have a boyfriend now. I don't know who his band is.
Okay. If he's still got his band on her, you know which one it is. Let me know.
I will send it to you.
Okay. Alright, so this boy here is not going to stand up to save his life. So body shape. Okay, Megan, what do you see on this body shape? Type it in the comments for me. What do you see on this body type? What do you see?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
He's kind of like an elongated football.
Okay. What do you see? I mean, let's look at this side. What do you see? Uh-huh. Now this one, wow, that's impressive. This one here, I wouldn't consider him like boxy, the boxy look. Maybe Megan, maybe you can take a picture. Maybe you can take a flat rectangle. That's a good analogy too. But I'm just gonna do what I normally do when I'm handling birds. Big old knot, just try to break it apart and get it out of there. Yeah. I know it sounds horrible, but it's better in the long run. Yes. boxy would be more like from if he was like had more depth this way from top to bottom. But maybe you can get a picture. I would say that I have seen the boxy. I'm trying to put it in my head. It would be literally just where there's more depth between the top and the bottom here.
Very narrow.
Yeah, yeah. And that's something that she just said too as well. Pretty narrow. You want to try and stay away from the narrow. You want to have that depth, but you want it to be kind of symmetrical as well. You know. Yeah, the way that I see it is somebody commented, I've got enough bruises, thank you. Somebody commented like a football. You know how the football's rounded at both ends, and then and it's pretty symmetrical, right? So if you take a football and bring a neck out of it and put some legs on it, that's what I see, and that's the way that I interpret it. You want oval from the top, oval from the side, oval from the back, bottom, all the way, 360, all the way around. Yeah, no, that's fine. You can send a picture like that. And I'll try to post it in the comments myself once I get back home and stuff like that, so we can kind of see this boxy look. I don't know. Yeah, his eyes are really weird. His eyes are really weird. If you take a really close look at his eyes, like what? You can see the pink. You can see the pink in his eyes. And they're just, I don't know. This boy would make a good pet for somebody. Plain and simple. I mean, he's sweet. He's got a couple of good qualities. He's got that width and the feathering on the back side, but this is like that wispiness that you want to try and stay away from. See how it looks like somebody... See how it looks like somebody took and like combed it out right there? You want to try and stay away from that. But in the same token, his body structure might change as he matures. The head, from here up, probably not so much. Could you breed that out after a little bit of breeding? You know, maybe a couple of years potentially. But if you've got something that's better than him, you know, my thought is, why would you want to keep him? If this is a good starter bird, if this is a start bird, then find your best hen and put him with them and see what you get next year.
And he was bad luck. I bought 4 and got 3 ganders.
Yeah. You look like you're deep in thought on something. Yeah, they do. They do. It's like somebody took and, I don't know, like cut the top half of it off. Almost like a puppy dog eye. I don't know.
No, just trying to keep it straight.
Oh, I'm not defensive. You can...
And I do. I feel.
He's not,
I'm sorry. I
didn't
don't
breed
mean to
him,
hurt
he's
your
not-
feelings,
I
buddy.
don't feel defensive, so feel free to like.
But
That's why I brought him, because I told Laura I thought we should have one that was lower pet quality that we could evaluate honestly.
Yeah.
He's up for looked at him. Like he does. Now I sitting back looking, now I see exactly.
Well, and you can see the difference in them. I think when you see like the other 3 birds that have like a minimum level of quality, and then you see him, you're just like, oh, he's a cutie. He's not, I wouldn't say that.
And it's like curly for his arms high.
Yeah,
Right,
you can
good
see
eye,
right
Haley.
here. He does have a little bit of that neck. A little bit of that neck. And you can see where, you know, as I refer to that, you know, wearing like a vest in the middle. But if nothing else, I mean, you know, let some kid, let some junior take him and love him and spoil him and show him. And, you know, I mean, my goodness, at Ohio National, I seen some kid maybe about yay big. with one of those canes that they use for hog showing. And he's walking his turkey and using his turkey for showmanship through the whole entire crowd. And this turkey's just like, look at me. You know, and this kid was just proud as a peach. You know, that takes work. And, you know, if you've got something that you can get to a kid that they can spoil rotten and build that bond with, then you're really going to spark that interest to that kid. And I guess me being a 4-H kid, you know, I guess that's where it really comes into play for me because I've seen so much 4-H die. So much. I even offered to show a friend of mine, I even offered to take his goats to open show just because. And why not, right? Why not? Because I used to show goats too. But
It's
yeah.
just so narrow. Like you can see like his whole shape is just like collapsed. Like it's
And he has a little bit of that widow's peak too.
yeah.
Can you see that? Just the slightest little bit of a widow's peak. See how it comes down like that? Yep. Huh? Yeah. Yeah. You don't want it to come down like that. So, does anybody have any questions that's watching online or anything? Do you guys have any more questions? Megan, does that help? Does that help with the body type and structure? You're welcome, Mark. There's stuff to come on the website too. We're really working on the website. One of the things that we're really working hardcore on is trying to get away from Facebook because of all the scams. I had somebody ask me for my address and phone number because they wanted to keep track of Barb's birds. Nope. Nope. But you know, you got so many scammers on Facebook. I don't know how many people I've had reach out to me this year about scammers. Along with Facebook and other restrictions and stuff like that, you know, Facebook is where most of us try to go to advertise. But we're really working on a breeder section for the website, on SGA. I'm working on revamping it to make it a little bit more user friendly. Yes, you're being a good boy. You're being a good boy. You didn't know your boy could be this good, did you? Yeah. But
Anybody wants them, he's for sale.
she just said if anybody wants them, he's for sale. What? Oh, that was something that I forgot to mention about the head. You want them to look cheeky. You want them to be cheeky, where they're literally like got all these little cheeks that you just want to go up and kind of snuggle with. And I'll post. I remember me talking about that hen that was absolutely trashed. Man, this girl had a phenomenal head on her. I will post her picture in the comments as well. I actually am going to see if somebody, Brittany, would help me to get this over onto YouTube and kind of do some cutting and pasting and stuff with some examples so that we can, you know, have it linked to the website. Maybe, Brittany, that's something that we could talk about on my way home.
You got another question?
Yep. Megan, ask away. Do not apologize. How long from mating to laying a goose egg remains fertile? That is a really good question. I've had so many answers on that myself. I've had 10 days, I've had 2 weeks, I've had 30 days. Unfortunately, I cannot answer that question fully. I have also heard that if they don't want the egg to be fertile, just like a chicken, they can spit it right back out. So, I wish I could answer that, but I can't answer that because it's I've gotten so many questions on that myself. I don't know if there's any vets that might know that, or if that is one of those questions that we're going to ask until the end of time, or just do our own scientific experiment. But that would require pulling at least a month of eggs, and I'm not up for that one. I'm not going to do that.
It was hard to take pictures.
Yes, Brittany, I love you so much. Brittany, you guys, is working on our digital side with the website, marketing and stuff, and she's helping me a lot on the back end with computer stuff. So, yeah, Megan, I'm sorry I can't answer that. Maybe there's somebody else that'll, watch us later on that knows a little bit more definitive, but I'm just going by the answers that I've got. Well, I appreciate you guys all too. I appreciate everybody watching. I will post some links in the comments as soon as I get home. I do believe I'm back on 5G. And Brittany and I will work on putting this together for a YouTube video as well. There's some other videos. There's all kinds of, on the showing aspect of it, there's all kinds of videos on the Facebook page. Because I tend to always try to go live at the shows. And there's a couple of videos where I've gone through and, walked through. Here's your 1 through 5. Here's your, 1 through 3 or whatever. And then, showed the tags and stuff like that. Judy, any feedback for me? Anybody have any feedback or anything? Because now I think I'm just going to end up rambling along and everybody's going to tune out on me anyways. So, you're being a good boy. Yeah. You're being a good boy. Well, I think that we're going to go ahead and call this a wrap, you guys. I certainly do hope that this helps out. Again, I don't claim to know everything about these birds. I don't claim to do anything like that. I don't do this for myself. I do this for all of you guys and to try and help you out and stuff. This is all just stuff that I've learned from all the years of showing and reading and my mentors such as Barb and Gene Ribbick and all those guys and stuff. It's all questions that I've asked other people. So it's a learning experience, and it can be a learning curve from year to year too. What works one year may not work the next year, and some years they might surprise you and work better. So, all right, guys, I'm gonna sign off, and for anybody that wants to chat more, you got my number. You know how to get a hold of me. Talk to you all later. Have a good one.